We're live again at Cannes Lion today with Dr. Heather Knight. Heather, would you tell us what you do?
I make robots. I like taking inspiration from entertainment to make more charismatic technology, and then I also like putting robots on stage.
You have the robots make jokes, kind of, right?
Yeah, so like one of our big acts is like a robot comedy performance. So yeah, the robot does stand up. So it starts by standing up.
And that works?
Yeah, that's the whole set. Done. No, but honestly, it's one of people's favorite parts. People love seeing the robot just move in a natural way.
And was that the same show that you did over here in Cannes?
I wrote a new show for our talk yesterday at Cannes. It was about mindfulness.
With robots?
Yeah, it's really easy for a robot to empty their mind.
Because you can just turn them off.
Or they just delete all of the material.
So are there things that we can learn from the robots when it comes to mindfulness?
I mean, it's like everything I do is like kind of tongue-in-cheek, but like I guess we were thinking yesterday about, we have this thing about technology for utility and technology for efficiency, and yes, that's sort of nice sometimes, but that's not what we like dream about. Like if you go out like with your friends on Saturday, you're like, what are we gonna do? Let's make it efficient. That's not really a human value. So if we're designing robots and even or like algorithms or chatbots for people, then we want them to be a little bit more fun. So I like this idea of a robot that was doing mindfulness stuff with you. Yes, it's sort of practical, but it's also sort of fun, and it's not something that you would think a robot would generally do. So we had the whole audience stand up and just do relaxation exercises with the robot.
Was it fun?
Yeah, no, it was really well received. And then one of the other jokes, the robot was basically doing this breathing exercise. So he's like, okay, take a deep breath. And he's like, now put down your phones. And then he's like, never mind, post this on Twitter. And then that audience, they loved it. I guess it kind of struck a pose. My timing's not as good as the robot's. But.
Are you on stage with a robot as well?
Yeah. So I didn't do it here, but one of its favorite acts is one of the big bits is that it breaks up with me on stage. So I'm a roboticist. I make this little mini robot alter ego, right? And so I just have it make fun of me. It's like a disembodied, self-deprecated humor.
Sounds very 2017.
And 2018.
Also 2018, probably. So we have this game. We have these cards. It's a full deck of cards. Every card has a different question on it. I'm going to ask you to pick 3 cards in a row, so one at a time. Read it out loud and try to answer the question. You get one pass because some of the questions there, you might be hesitant in answering them. You get one pass, but I'm allowed to ask you why you're passing.
Okay.
Yeah? Yep. So you're allowed to see them? Wait, just do one at a time.
What do you cook for yourself when you're alone? That's a good question. I mean, I'm still pretty partial to a peanut butter sandwich with a big green apple. I don't know. I think there was this movie of the Never-Ending Story, and this kid is just reading the book, and then it cuts into the crazy drama, and he's just sitting there with his apple and his peanut butter sandwich, and I was just it also tastes good. But
it does.
And I hear Dutch people like peanut butter.
We do. I think we have some of the better peanut butter on it.
Yeah.
You should try it when you come over.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I think it says a lot about a person, the way, or at least the amount of complication that you want to put into the food that you make for yourself, because you're the only one that's going to eat it. I know.
Yeah, no, you're right. So it's what do you cook for yourself when you're the only one there? I'm I don't cook. I make a sandwich. But yeah.
So kind of simple.
Yeah, I mean, California is really into salads. So if you have a really amazing avocado, that would go a long way as well. But you might just cut it in half with some olive oil. And
not with peanut butter.
Not with peanut butter.
Next one.
What is the worst thing about your current company? Oh my God. Might have to pass on this because this is kind of exciting. This summer I'm working at X, the Google's moonshot factory.
Oh yeah?
So I actually really can't talk about what I do, but what I can tell you is my job title. It's robotic artist in residence.
Awesome.
Which is really cool. I was like, thank you, like crazy companies that like make up weird titles. Like this is gonna be really, yeah.
Oh, that's great. How'd you get the job? I want it.
I met a guy at a workshop. You know, like it's like when you go, yeah. And like, I mean, if you go to enough like robot events, well, so it was actually kind of fun. It was like this design workshop. So we were all coming up with like crazy hypothetical ideas for what robots could do.
What was your idea?
Well, so the team that I was on with Hans Peter, we were talking about this robot that could be embodied or disembodied. We were going to call it Stay With Me. So it's like, if you when you wake up in the morning, like maybe your little robot would be like, hey, it's like time to get up, and like bump this out of your bed. But then you like leave like the little furry ottoman that moves around like in the house, and then you go in the car, and it's like the same agent. That's like, so it's like, oh, so like about what we were talking about, la 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 la. So it's like this, it's like a persistent person or sort of persistent character that could go from like embodied to disembodied things, or if you wanted to walk with your phone, or you could leave your phone in the car and go on a hike. So
and in all kinds of different shapes. So you want a furry one in bed, and maybe something else in the bathroom.
It would be a really interesting challenge, right? Like how do you have something that seems like it has a consistent persona? Because for me, like hardware is such a big part of it. But we managed to talk to each other on our phones and through the internet, and like we're starting occasionally through telepresence robots. So you can, what I really wonder is I'm like, where would people like see that system as like existing connected to one particular thing? Like, so maybe it's like the little dog sort of ottoman thing at home that they're like, they just feel like they're like Skyping with it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's probably also with a kind of, so that movie Her, that you have this kind of disembodied voice, but with actual objects.
Everything, yeah. And this has absolutely nothing to do with my job at Google this summer, by the way. But it was like a really fun example, and you know.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Last one.
All right. If everything you ever said and done would be published online tomorrow, how embarrassed would you be? Dude, this is my life. That is already happening. Like, what are we doing right now? Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I'm academic. I speak publicly to little audiences, like on a weekly basis, and to big audiences, like on a monthly basis. Yes. I don't know. I mean, like, I think everyone has some things that they like to like. So I've been thinking about privacy in robots as well lately, and I think one thing that I want robots to understand that they don't right now is that, like, privacy is not about not disclosing information. Like, that's part of it, but it's like, what it's really about is it's not disclosing information to the wrong people, right? So it's like, if we were a bunch of friends and we were out for drinks, like certain information would be completely okay to be there. But if your boss walks in and then also sits down on the table, like immediately we all were like, okay, now we actually have to modify the kinds of, because it's like, yes, it's like information that would be okay if this group is here. And this completely makes sense to people, but it's hard to model with robots.
Yeah, it must be super difficult to do. And also, I mean, and that's then the interpersonal interaction that you have there, but you also have it with yourself. I mean, when I'm on the bathroom, I probably wouldn't want my chatty robot, to be talking to me.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that I suggested a student do at Oregon State is that's looking into privacy is like having a robot that averts its eyes if you're doing something embarrassing. It's like not only is that functionally like giving you more privacy, but it's kind of respectful. But I mean, that can be misused too if like so a lot of like homeless people feel like they're completely invisible because there's this thing when we're uncomfortable, like it's almost like, oh, I don't want to keep you from, I don't want you to be embarrassing yourself. And like it's sort of this judgment thing too. So I mean, behaviors can mean all kinds of things. But basically, that's actually the real essence of my job is trying to come up with models of people that are simple enough for robots to navigate.
But it's weird because robots, I mean, they're different entities. So I don't know. Maybe we'd have totally different idea of privacy when it comes to communicating with our robot.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, and so we've seen this already in like the robots that are delivering things to people's hotel rooms. People are like, oh, it's a robot. I can just like not even get dressed. So they're like opening the door naked, and like you're like, first of all, maybe there's an operator. Second of all, that is a camera right there, and cameras record information. Maybe it's not, but like you should maybe take into consideration that unlike like the maid who will see you once and will hopefully it will not be like, you know, unless it's really horrible, she's not going to remember it forever. But like she's not going to like upload it to other people. Yeah. So I mean that's one of the reasons why people are so sensitive about the privacy issue. But usually we default to when in doubt, we do what feels normal and natural for us is just how we treat each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how we treat our robots will probably say a lot about us, just like what you cook.
It's really
kind of how do you act towards your robot when you're alone? I think that would say.
Yeah, no, and it's super important. So it's like one of my favorite classes, like as a PhD student in robotics, was a robot ethics class. And like it ended up being a lot about the ethics of being a roboticist instead. But one of the arguments, is it really so bad if a child kills like an ant? Like, I mean, maybe if you're Buddhist, yes, but like, in the scheme of things, like if there's a mosquito, we wouldn't. But like the reason why you like teach children not to like needlessly like kill small creatures isn't because we're like fundamentally, well, maybe we care a little bit about the ant, but like we care more about our children not growing up to be psychopaths.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if people practice good behaviors with robots, like I mean, it's like then like it's if they mistreat robots, they're more likely to mistreat each other because in our
how we educate our children.
Yeah, we have to educate our children to be polite to robots.
Be friendly to robots. Be friendly to robots. Well, thank you very much. Are you going to do anything else fun today, tonight, this week?
I think there might be a yacht and some jumping in the waves.
Sounds like fun. Thank you very much, Heather. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah,
thank you.